The large window showed the blue-green Earth growing smaller as the spaceship horizon moved away. Jiho pressed his hand against the cold glass and took a deep breath. At 17, this was his third space trip, but the view still amazed him. "Still, can't believe we're going all the way to Europa," said Do-hyun, joining him at the window. The 16-year-old's eyes sparkled with excitement as he watched Earth disappear behind them. 6 days there, 4 days of exploration, and 6 days back, Jiho replied. As senior student president, he had memorized every detail of their journey. The perfect school trip. The year was 2187. Humans had spread across the solar system, building homes on the Moon, Mars, and even some of Jupiter's moons. The Seoul Interplanetary Academy was known for training future space explorers, and only the top students got picked for the annual trip to the outer planets. 24 students and 2 teachers traveled on the education vessel Horizon. The Kao ship wasn't very big, but it had everything they needed: sleeping rooms, a dining area, classrooms, and even a small gym. Captain Minho's voice came through the speakers. "Students, please come to the main hall for our first meeting." Jiho and Do-hyun joined the others in the large central room. Captain Minho stood at the front with Professor Yona. Both wore the blue uniforms of the Education Space Fleet. "Welcome. Aboard the Horizon," Captain Minho said with a smile. "For the next 2 weeks, this ship is your home, your classroom, and your adventure." Professor Yona stepped forward. She was tall, with short black hair and kind eyes. "Before we begin our daily lessons, let's introduce ourselves. Please share your name, age, and what you're most excited to see on Europa." One by one, the students spoke. Jiho already knew most of them from school, but he listened carefully anyway. "I'm Hyejin, 15 years old," said a girl with a ponytail and bright eyes. "I can't wait to see how they extract water from under Europa's ice and turn it into fuel." Next was a boy with glasses who seemed more interested in his handheld computer than the introductions. "Tae-woo, 14. I want to see the communication systems they use to send signals through the ice." The youngest student stood up last. "I'm Yoonji, 13 years old." Her voice was quiet but clear. "I want to see everything." Everyone laughed at her simple answer. Captain Minho clapped his hands. "Excellent. Now, Professor Yona will explain our daily schedule." The professor displayed a map of their journey on the large screen. "We'll spend most of our travel time learning about Europa's history and science. When we arrive, we'll visit the mining stations and research labs." She switched to a picture of a large drilling platform on an icy surface. "This is where humans are finding rare minerals and testing new water processing methods." The first 2 days passed quickly. The students attended classes in the morning and had free time in the afternoon. They learned about Jupiter's moons, practiced using spacesuits, and studied the mining operations they would soon see up close. On the third day, Jiho woke up to a strange sound. The ship's engine seemed louder than usual. He checked the time. 4:30 a.m. Earth time. Too early for engine tests. He got dressed quickly and went to find Captain Minho. In the hallway, he met Yoonji, who also looked worried. "Do you hear that?" she asked. "The engine pitch is wrong." Jiho nodded. For such a young student, Yoonji noticed a lot. "I'm going to check with the captain." They found Captain Minho in the control room, looking concerned as he studied the navigation screens. "Captain, is something wrong?" Jiho asked. Captain Minho looked surprised to see them. "You should be sleeping, but since you're here," he pointed to a blinking red light on the screen. "We've hit some kind of space anomaly, a disturbance we didn't see on our charts." "Are we lost?" Yoonji asked directly. The captain hesitated. "Our position is unexpected. I've activated our beacon, but we're far from our planned route." By breakfast time, all the students knew something was wrong. The teachers called everyone to the main hall again. "I need your attention," Professor Yona said firmly. "We've encountered a spatial anomaly that has pushed us off course. We're working to fix our position, but we're currently in an unfamiliar sector." Tae-woo raised his hand. "How far off course?" Captain Minho displayed a map on the screen. "The blue dot is where we should be. The red dot is our current position." The 2 dots were very far apart. Whispers filled the room. Jiho noticed some younger students looking scared. "Are we in danger?" Hyejin asked. "Not immediately," Captain Minho answered. "Our ship is functioning well. We have plenty of supplies, and our emergency beacon is active. Help will come," Professor Yeona added. "Until then, we'll continue with our lessons. Knowledge is especially important in unexpected situations." After the meeting, Do-yoon pulled Jiho aside. "They're not telling us everything. I overheard the captain talking about pirate activity in this sector." Jiho frowned. "Pirates, are you sure?" "Positive. This isn't just about being lost. We might be in dangerous space." Throughout the day, Jiho watched the teachers closely. They smiled and taught their lessons as planned, but he noticed how often they checked their communication devices. Something was definitely wrong. That night, Jiho gathered his closest friends in his room: Do-hyun, Hyejin, Tae-woo, and Yoonji. "We need to be prepared," he told them, keeping his voice low. "If we're really in pirate territory, we should have a plan." Hyejin looked thoughtful. "What can we do? We're just students." "Smart students," Tae-woo corrected her. "I could try to boost our beacon signal." "And I know the ship's layout better than anyone," Do-hyun added. "If we needed to hide." Their planning was interrupted by a sudden jolt that shook the entire ship. The lights flickered, and a loud alarm began to sound. "Emergency stations." Captain Minho's voice came through the speakers, sounding tense. "All students, report to the central hall immediately." The 5 friends rushed into the hallway, joining other confused and frightened students heading toward the main hall. Through the side windows, Jiho saw something that made his blood run cold. A large, dark ship with red markings was approaching the horizon. In the main hall, Professor Yeona tried to keep everyone calm. "Stay together and listen carefully. Another ship has approached us and is attempting to dock. Captain Minho is trying to communicate with them." "It's pirates, isn't it?" someone asked. Before she could answer, the ship shook again. This time the lights went out completely before emergency lighting came on, bathing everything in dim red light. Captain Minho rushed into the hall, his face grim. "They've locked onto us with a tractor beam. I couldn't break free without risking damage to our ship." He looked at all the young faces watching him. "We are being boarded by a vessel identifying as the Bloodfang. They're Keltari pirates." Gasps and cries filled the room. Everyone had heard stories about space pirates, especially the Keltari, known for their ruthlessness. "What do they want?" Jiho asked, trying to keep his voice steady. "Our ship, our supplies, and possibly us," Captain Minho said honestly. "But I will do everything to protect you all." A loud metallic clang echoed through the ship. The pirates had docked. Professor Yeona stood tall. "Students, remember your emergency training. No heroes, no resistance. Your safety is most important." Captain Minho nodded. "Professor Yeona and I will meet them. All of you stay here and stay quiet." As the teachers left, Jiho looked at his friends. Their faces showed fear, but also determination. These weren't ordinary children. They were some of Earth's brightest young minds. "Whatever happens," Jiho whispered to them, "we stick together. And we remember what we've learned." The waiting was terrible. They heard distant voices, then shouting. Finally, heavy footsteps approached the main hall door. Everyone held their breath as it slid open. In walked creatures none of them had seen except in pictures: tall, gray-skinned Keltari pirates with yellow eyes and sharp teeth. Behind them, Captain Minho and Professor Yeona were being pushed forward, their hands bound. The largest pirate stepped forward, looking over the human children with a cruel smile. "Well," he said in heavily accented English, "what an easy catch we've made today." Little did he know his day was about to get much more difficult. The Keltari pirate captain looked at the group of human children with yellow eyes that showed no kindness. He was called Commander Vrax, though none of the students knew this yet. He was tall, nearly 7 feet, with gray skin that looked rough, like sandpaper. 3 other pirates stood behind him holding strange-looking weapons. "Check them for weapons," Commander Vrax ordered. His voice was deep and raspy. One of the pirates stepped forward, waving a scanning device over the students. "Nothing dangerous, Commander. Just school equipment." Vrax smiled, showing pointed teeth. "Good. Separate them into groups. Put half in the storage rooms and half in the classrooms. We'll decide what to do with them after we take what we want from this ship." Captain Minho tried to step forward despite his bound hands. "These are children under my protection. If you must take prisoners, take me and Professor Yona. Let the students go." Commander Vrax laughed. "Let them go? We're in deep space. Where would they go?" He poked Captain Minho's chest with a clawed finger. "You humans think you're so important, spreading across the stars like you own them. Well, you've entered Keltari territory now." Professor Yona spoke up. "We didn't enter your territory on purpose. We were pulled off course by a spatial anomaly." "A likely story," Vrax sneered. "Your Federation has been pushing boundaries for years. Maybe selling a few human children will teach them to stay in their own space." Jiho felt his heart beating fast, but he kept his face calm. Next to him, Do-Yun was breathing hard, clearly angry. Jiho nudged him slightly, a warning not to do anything foolish. "Take the adults to the cargo hold," Vrax told his men. "Begin moving the valuable equipment to our ship." As Captain Minho and Professor Yona were pushed out of the room, the captain caught Jiho's eye and gave him a small nod. Jiho understood the message. Stay strong. Be smart. The pirates began dividing the students. Jiho, Do-Hyun, and 10 others were taken to the main classroom. Hyejin, Taiwu, Yunji, and the rest were led to the storage areas on the lower deck. As they were separated, Jiho mouthed silent words to his friends. "Watch. Listen. Think." In the classroom, a single pirate guard was left to watch them. He pointed his weapon at the group. "Sit quietly. Don't move." His English wasn't as good as Vrax's, but the message was clear. The student sat on the floor in a corner. The pirate seemed bored as he looked around the classroom, picking up and examining Earth objects he didn't understand. Do-Hyun leaned close to Jiho. "They don't know who they're dealing with," he whispered. Jiho nodded slightly. The pirates saw them as helpless children, not as students from Earth's top academy for future space explorers. Each student on this trip had been specially selected for their intelligence and skills. They had been learning about space survival, engineering, and science for years. More pirates came aboard, carrying equipment to take valuable items from the horizon. They paid little attention to the human children, seeing them as no threat. After about an hour, the guard's communication device made a noise. He listened, then looked at the students. "Stay here. Don't move." He backed out of the room, the door sliding shut behind him. As soon as he was gone, Do-Hyun jumped up. "Now's our chance." "Wait," Jiho said. "We need a plan. We can't just run around the ship. There are at least 8 pirates that I've counted, probably more." A girl named Suman raised her hand. "The ventilation system connects all the main rooms. We could use it to communicate with the others." Jiho smiled. "Good thinking. It's too small for the pirates to use, but some of us could fit." They quickly removed a ventilation cover in the corner of the room. Min-jun, the smallest boy in their group, volunteered to go. "Find Hyejin and the others," Jiho told him. "Tell them we need to work together. See if you can find where they're keeping Captain Minho and Professor Yona, too." Min-jun nodded and disappeared into the vent. The others replaced the cover, making it look untouched. "What do we do now?" asked Do-Hyun, always ready for action. Jiho looked around the classroom. "We prepare. Look around. What can we use?" The students began examining the room with new eyes. They found chemicals in the science cabinet, tools for space training exercises, and electronic equipment for their lessons. "We need information," Jiho said. "Yunho, you're good with computers. Can you access the ship's system from the classroom terminal?" Yunho went to the teaching console. "They've locked most functions, but I might be able to get into the basic systems." While Yunho worked, the others gathered potentially useful items. Do-Hyun found tools they could use as weapons. Suman discovered cleaning supplies with chemicals that could be mixed to create smoke or strong smells. About 20 minutes later, the ventilation cover moved again, and Minjun's head appeared. "I found them," he whispered excitedly. "Yejin and her group are in storage room B. They've already started planning too. Taewoo found a way to access a maintenance panel and can see some of the ship's systems." "What about our teachers?" Jiho asked. "They're in the main cargo hold, guarded by 2 pirates. They're tied up but not hurt." "And the pirates, what are they doing?" Minjun climbed fully out of the vent, "Taking everything valuable. But here's the interesting part. Eunji has been watching them through a crack in the storage room door. She says they seem confused by our ship's layout. They keep getting lost." Jiho nodded thoughtfully. That made sense. The Horizon was designed specifically for human educational journeys, not like standard transport ships pirates might be used to raiding. "Did you tell Hyejin what we're planning?" Jiho asked. "Yes. She said they're ready to help. Taewoo thinks he can control some of the ship's systems from his access point. Lights, temperature, maybe even some doors." A noise in the hallway made them all freeze. Quickly, Minjun slipped back into the vent, and the cover was replaced. The students moved back to their corner, trying to look scared and defeated. The door slid open, and the guard returned with another pirate. "See? Just sitting here scared," the guard said. "Easy prisoners." The second pirate looked at the humans with suspicious eyes. "The commander wants to start moving them to our ship soon. The adults will sell well as workers. These young ones," he smiled unpleasantly. "Collectors pay good money for exotic species pets." The students exchanged frightened glances. This time, their fear was real. They needed to act soon. After the pirates left again, Jiho gathered everyone close. "Here's what we know," he said quietly. "The pirates are planning to sell us. They think we're harmless. They don't know our ship well. And thanks to Minjun, we now have contact with the others." He looked around at his fellow students. "We have advantages they don't know about," Yunho called from the computer terminal. "I got in. I can see the ship's layout and where power is being used. There are pirates in the engine room, the bridge, and moving through the halls." "Perfect," Jiho said. "We need to coordinate with Hyejin's group. If we work together, we can take back our ship." Do-hyun held up a tool he had modified into something that looked dangerous. "Just say when." Jiho shook his head. "Not like that. We're not going to fight them directly. They're bigger and have real weapons. We need to be smarter." He turned to Yunho. "Can you send a message to Taewoo through the system?" Yunho nodded. "I think so." "Good. Tell him we need a distraction in 30 minutes, something to confuse the pirates and separate them." While Yunho worked on the message, Jiho explained his plan to the others. They would use the pirates' unfamiliarity with the ship against them, create confusion, separate them, and trap them. "Remember," Jiho said, "we don't need to defeat them all at once. We just need to be more patient and smarter than they are." The students worked quickly, preparing their classroom. They mixed chemicals for smoke bombs, created traps near the doors, and readied tools as last resort weapons. Sooner than expected, alarms began blaring throughout the ship. Lights flickered and the temperature suddenly dropped. "That's not our signal," Jiho said, confused. "Something's happening." The classroom door slid open and their guard rushed in, looking panicked. "What's happening? What did you do?" he demanded, pointing his weapon at them. Before anyone could answer, the lights went out completely. In the darkness, chaos erupted as students moved according to the plan they had just made. The sounds of coughing, shouting, and a body hitting the floor filled the room. When emergency lighting came on seconds later, the pirate lay unconscious on the floor, and Do-hyun was holding his weapon. "I guess the timetable moved up," Do-hyun said with a grin. "What now, Jiho?" Jiho looked at the fallen pirate, then at his classmates, who waited for his answer. The sound of confused shouting echoed from other parts of the ship. "Now," Jiho said, "we take back our ship." Alarms continued to sound throughout the horizon. Red emergency lights cast strange shadows in the classroom. Jiho kneeled next to the unconscious pirate and checked his breathing. "He'll be fine. Just sleeping for a while," Jiho said. "Tie his hands and feet." Two students used cords from the classroom equipment to tie up the pirate. Do-hyun examined the alien weapon with careful interest. "I think I know how it works," he said. "It has a stun setting and something else, probably more dangerous." Jiho nodded. "Keep it on stun. We don't want to kill anyone." The classroom door opened slightly and everyone tensed. Then a familiar face peeked in. It was Minjun, who had been using the vents to communicate. "Hyejin sent me," he said, breathing hard. "Taewoo triggered the ship's emergency systems. They've escaped from their storage room. They have a pirate's communication device and can hear everything the pirates are saying." "Good," Jiho said. "What about the other students?" "Still locked." "Up, but Hyejin thinks they can reach them. The pirates are confused. Some kind of gas is spreading through the lower decks. Hyejin made it from cleaning supplies." Do-hyun grinned. "That's our chemistry expert." Jiho turned to the group. "Here's the plan. We need to free all the students, get our teachers, and take back control of the ship." He pointed to Yoonho at the computer. "Can you see where the pirates are now?" Yoonho studied the screen. "Hard to tell exactly. The system shows movement in the engine room, the dining area, and near the cargo hold where the teachers are." "How many pirates total?" Yoonho shook his head. "At least 10 that I can track, maybe more." Jiho thought for a moment. "We need to divide them up, make them waste time and energy." He turned to Minjun. "Go back to Hyejin. Tell her we're moving forward. Ask if Taewoo can control the doors. We want to trap pirates in small groups." Minjun nodded and disappeared back into the vent. Jiho divided his group into teams. "Do-hyun, take 3 people and head toward the cargo hold. Try to free Captain Minho and Professor Yona, but be careful. Yoonho, stay here with 2 others and keep watching the ship's systems. The rest come with me. We'll try to meet up with Hyejin's group." Before they left, Jiho looked at each student. "Remember, we're smarter than they are. Use that. Don't try to fight them directly. Create confusion. Set traps and stay safe." They opened the classroom door carefully and checked the hallway. It was empty, but they could hear shouting in the distance. Moving quietly, Jiho led his team toward the lower deck where Hyejin's group had been held. At a junction, they heard heavy footsteps coming toward them. Jiho motioned everyone into a small equipment room. Through a crack in the door, they watched 2 pirates run past, looking angry and confused. "The air system is malfunctioning," one pirate growled. "Commander Vrax wants it fixed now." When they were gone, Jiho whispered, "They don't realize it's us causing the problems. They think it's their bad luck." They continued carefully through the ship, avoiding pirates when they could. Once they had to hide in a maintenance closet for 10 minutes while pirates searched nearby rooms, complaining about strange noises and equipment failures. Finally, they reached the storage area where Hyejin's group had been held. The door was open, but the room was empty. "Where did they go?" one student whispered. Jiho examined the room. There were signs of a struggle, knocked over boxes and a small pool of green liquid that must have been from one of Hyejin's chemical mixtures. He noticed the maintenance panel was open. This must be where Taewoo had accessed the ship's systems. "They were here recently," Jiho said. "Let's keep moving. They might be trying to reach the other storage rooms to free more students." As they turned to leave, the ship's speakers suddenly came alive with a burst of static, followed by Taewoo's voice. "Attention all students of the Horizon. This is Taewoo. I've accessed the ship's communication system. The pirates are scattered throughout the ship. Use whatever skills you have. Create confusion. We are taking back our ship. Jiho, if you can hear this, we're heading to storage room C where more students are being held." The message ended with more static. Jiho smiled. Taewoo had just made their job easier by letting everyone know what was happening. But he had also alerted the pirates that this was an organized resistance, not just ship malfunctions. "Let's move quickly," Jiho said. "The pirates will be angry now." They headed toward storage room C, moving faster than before. Along the way, they passed a hallway filled with strange mist, another of Hyejin's creations. From somewhere in the mist came the sound of coughing and confused pirate voices. When they reached storage room C, they found Hyejin, Tae-woo and Yoonji, already there, working on the door lock. "Ji-ho," Hyejin said, looking relieved. "Good timing. Tae-woo almost has this open." Tae-woo didn't look up from the lock he was working on. "Almost. Got it." The door slid open, revealing 8 more students inside. "What's happening?" one of them asked. "We heard Tae-woo's message." Ji-ho quickly explained the situation. "We're taking back the ship. The pirates thought we were just helpless children, but they were wrong." "What about Do-hyun's team?" Yoonji asked. "Have they reached the teachers yet?" Before Ji-ho could answer, Tae-woo's stolen communication device crackled. A pirate's angry voice came through. "All units. The human children have escaped. They're fighting back. Watch for traps. They're using the ship's systems against us." Another voice responded. "Commander, Vrax, how can children be a problem? Find them and put them all in one place where we can watch them." Hyejin smiled. "They still don't understand what they're dealing with." Tae-woo looked at his tablet. "I've locked several doors, trapping 4 pirates in different areas. The ship's temperature control is responding to my commands too. I've made some areas very cold and others very hot." "Good work," Ji-ho said. He turned to the newly freed students. "We need your help too. What skills do you have that might be useful?" One by one they offered ideas. Jin could create distractions with sound effects through the ship's speakers. Mina knew how to disable the ship's escape pods so the pirates couldn't use them. Jae-won could help Tae-woo with the computer systems. Yoonji, who had been quiet, suddenly spoke up. "I've been watching the pirates. They're scared." Everyone looked at her in surprise. "Scared of us?" Hyejin asked. Yoonji nodded. "They don't understand what's happening. They hear strange noises. Doors close by themselves, the air smells wrong. And now they know we're fighting back." She looked at Ji-ho. "They're starting to think the ship is haunted." Ji-ho's eyes widened as an idea formed. "That's it. We can use their fear against them." He turned to the group. "Let's make them think this ship is worse than haunted. Let's make them wish they never came aboard." For the next hour, the students worked together in small teams. They used the ship's speakers to create ghostly sounds that echoed through hallways. They programmed the lights to flicker in patterns that seemed almost intelligent. Hyejin created more smoke and strange smells that spread through the ventilation system. Some pirates began to panic. Through Tae-woo's stolen communication device, the students heard them reporting strange events to Commander Vrax. "The lights followed me down the corridor. I heard children laughing, but no one was there. The temperature dropped so fast my breath froze." Commander Vrax sounded increasingly angry. "Don't be fools, they're just tricks. Find those children now." But his crew was becoming harder to control as fear spread among them. Meanwhile, Ji-ho received good news from Yoon-ho, who was still monitoring the ship's systems from the classroom. Do-hyun's team had reached the cargo hold and was working on freeing Captain Min-ho and Professor Yona. "They've taken out one guard," Yoon-ho reported, through Tae-woo's tablet. "The other is still watching the teachers. Do-hyun is planning a distraction." As the students continued their campaign of confusion, a ship-wide announcement suddenly blared through all speakers. It was Commander Vrax, and he sounded furious. "Attention, human children. Stop these games now. I have your captain here on the bridge. Surrender immediately or he will suffer." The students looked at each other with worry. How had Vrax captured Captain Min-ho? Was Do-hyun's team in trouble? Tae-woo checked his tablet. "It could be a trick. I don't see the captain's life signs on the bridge." Ji-ho made a quick decision. "We continue as planned. If they do have the captain, we'll deal with that when we have more control of the ship." Yoonji touched Ji-ho's arm. "I think I know a way to the bridge that the pirates haven't found. A maintenance tunnel that's not on the main ship plans." Ji-ho looked at her with surprise. "How do you know about that?" She shrugged. "I like to explore. I found it on our first day." Ji-ho nodded. "Show me." Hyejin, Tae-woo, keep coordinating everyone else. We need to find out what's happening on the bridge. As Ji-ho and Yoonji slipped away, the resistance continued throughout the ship. Human children, supposedly easy victims, had become the pirates' worst nightmare, and they were just getting started. Yoonji led Jiho through a small door hidden behind a panel in the science lab. Inside was a narrow passage that maintenance workers used to access the ship's inner systems. I found this on our first day, Yoonji explained as they crawled through the tight space. I was exploring while everyone else was unpacking. How do you know it goes to the bridge? Jiho asked, impressed by the young girl's discovery. I followed it as far as I could. There are marks on the walls showing where different parts of the ship connect. She pointed to small symbols painted on the metal walls. See? This one means bridge access. Jiho smiled in the dim light. Yoonji was proving to be full of surprises. They moved carefully through the passage, stopping occasionally to listen for sounds of pirates. After about 10 minutes of crawling, Yoonji pointed to a small grate in the wall. We can see into the bridge through here, she whispered. They peered through the grate. The bridge was the main control center of the horizon, with navigation panels, communication stations, and the captain's chair. Commander Vrax stood in the center shouting at 3 other pirates. There was no sign of Captain Minho. He was lying, Jiho whispered. The captain isn't here. They listened to Vrax's angry words. Find those children, he growled. How hard can it be? They're just human younglings. One pirate answered nervously. Sir, we've lost contact with 4 of our crew. The doors keep locking and unlocking. The air systems are working against us. Excuses! Vrax slammed his fist on a control panel. This ship is playing tricks on us because they are playing tricks on us. He pointed to a screen showing various parts of the ship. Look at these readings. Someone is controlling the ship's systems. Could it be the human captain? Another pirate asked. Impossible. He's locked in the cargo hold with the female teacher. Vrax narrowed his yellow eyes. It must be one of the children. Find the one controlling the systems and bring them to me. Jiho and Yoonji exchanged glances. This was important information. The teachers were still in the cargo hold, and Vrax didn't know how much progress the students had made. Suddenly, the communication system on the bridge crackled. A pirate's panicked voice came through. Commander! The humans have taken the engine room. They use some kind of gas. Grell and Thax are unconscious. Vrax roared with anger. How? How can children do this? Another call came in. Sir, the cargo hold is under attack. The human prisoners are... The message cut off abruptly. This was supposed to be an easy raid, Vrax shouted. He turned to his remaining crew. Secure the bridge. I'm going to the cargo hold myself. These humans have caused enough trouble. As Vrax stormed out, Jiho pulled back from the grate. We need to warn Do-hyun's team that Vrax is heading their way, he whispered to Yoonji. And we need to take control of the bridge while Vrax is gone. Yoonji nodded. There's another access panel that opens directly onto the bridge, but there are still 3 pirates in there. Jiho thought quickly. We need a distraction, something to draw them away from the bridge or confuse them. They retreated back along the maintenance tunnel. Jiho used Yoonji's tablet to contact Tae-woo. Tae-woo, can you hear me? Jiho whispered. Tae-woo's voice came through clearly. I hear you. Where are you? In a maintenance tunnel near the bridge. Vrax lied. The captain isn't there. But Vrax is heading to the cargo hold now. Can you warn Do-hyun? Already done, Tae-woo replied. Do-hyun says they're ready for him. They've freed the teachers and set up some surprises. Good. We need to take the bridge, but there are 3 pirates still guarding it. Can you help create a distraction? There was a pause, then Tae-woo said, Give me 3 minutes. While they waited, Jiho asked Yoonji, How many students have we freed so far? All of them, I think, Yoonji replied. Hyejin's team got the last group, out of storage room D about 10 minutes ago. Jiho nodded, relieved. And the pirates? Tae-woo says 4 are trapped in locked rooms. 2 are unconscious in the engine room. 3 are on the bridge. Vrax and 2 others are heading to the cargo hold. That's 9, Jiho counted. Yunho thought there were at least 10. There's 1 more, Yoonji said. He was chasing Minjin near the dining area. but we don't know what happened to him. Before Jiho could respond, the lights throughout the ship suddenly went out. Complete darkness surrounded them. Then the emergency lighting came on, bathing everything in dim blue light. "That's our signal," Jiho said. "Taewoo's creating the distraction." A moment later, alarms began blaring on the bridge. Through the grate, they could see the three pirates looking around in confusion. "What's happening?" one of them asked. Another checked the control panel. "The system is detecting a hull breach in Section 4. We're losing air." "That's impossible," the third pirate said. "We would feel it. The sensors can't be wrong." The first pirate looked afraid. "We need to check it out." "Commander Vrax said to stay here," the second pirate argued. "If the hull is breached, we'll all die," the first pirate insisted. "Two of us should check. One can stay here." After a brief argument, two pirates left the bridge, heading toward the supposed hull breach. One remained, looking nervous as he watched the flashing alerts on the screen. "Now's our chance," Jiho whispered to Yoonji. "Show me the access panel." Yoonji led him further along the tunnel to a panel that opened directly onto the bridge. Jiho peered through a small crack and could see the remaining pirates back as he worked at a control panel, trying to silence the alarms. Jiho prepared to open the panel, but Yoonji stopped him. "Wait," she whispered. She pulled a small device from her pocket, one of Hyejin's homemade smoke bombs. "Use this first." Jiho nodded. They carefully slid the panel open just enough to roll the small device onto the bridge. It began releasing thick white smoke almost immediately. The pirate turned around, coughing and confused. That's when Jiho pushed the panel fully open, and they rushed onto the bridge. The surprised pirate couldn't see clearly through the smoke. By the time he realized what was happening, Jiho had tackled him to the ground. Yoonji quickly helped tie his hands with cord they had brought. "The bridge is ours," Jiho said, looking around at the control panels. Yoonji ran to the main communication system. "I'm contacting Taewoo." She pressed several buttons. "Taewoo, we've taken the bridge. The fake hull breach worked perfectly." Taewoo's voice came through the speakers. "Great job. I'm monitoring the two pirates who left the bridge. They're completely confused, running around Section 4 looking for a breach that doesn't exist." "What about Do-hyun's team and the teachers?" Jiho asked, joining Yoonji at the communication panel. "They're in a standoff with Vrax in the hallway outside the cargo hold," Taewoo reported. "Vrax is demanding they surrender, but Captain Minho is refusing." Jiho thought for a moment. "We need to end this now before anyone gets hurt." He looked at the ship's control systems, trying to remember his training. "Yoonji, do you know how to access the environmental controls from here?" Yoonji studied the panel. "I think so. What are you planning?" "Vrax is in the hallway outside the cargo hold, right? We can control the air in that section." Jiho pointed to a specific control. "If we flood that area with sleeping gas, we can end this without a fight." Yoonji's eyes widened. "The emergency medical supplies. There's a cabinet in each major section with air masks and emergency gas canisters. Tell Do-hyun to get masks for everyone on our side," Jiho said urgently. "We're going to fill that entire section with sleeping gas in 2 minutes." Yoonji relayed the message. Taewoo confirmed that Do-hyun had received it and was getting the masks ready. Jiho found the environmental controls and prepared the system. "Ready?" Yoonji nodded. "Do-hyun says they're all wearing masks now." Jiho activated the system. On the monitor, they could see sleeping gas flooding into the hallway where Vrax and his pirates stood. The pirates looked around in panic as the white mist surrounded them. Vrax realized what was happening and tried to run, but it was too late. Within seconds, all three pirates had collapsed to the floor. "It worked!" Yoonji exclaimed. Through the communication system, they heard Captain Minho's voice. "Bridge, this is Captain Minho. Good work with the sleeping gas. The pirates are unconscious. We've secured them." "Captain, you're safe." Jiho couldn't hide his relief. "Thanks to you students," Captain Minho replied. "I've never seen anything like what you've all done today." Over the next hour, the students and teachers worked together to secure all the pirates. They used the ship's holding cells, normally used for storing dangerous materials, to keep the pirates contained. Taewoo restored all systems to normal operation, and Professor Yona treated the few minor injuries students had received. On the bridge, Captain Minho stood before Jiho, Hyejin, Taewoo, Dohyun, and Yoonji. "You five led an incredible resistance," he said proudly. "Actually, all of you did." He looked around at all the students gathered on the bridge. "You turned a desperate situation into a victory." "What do we do now?" Hyejin asked. "We're still off course, and we have a ship full of pirate prisoners." Captain Minho nodded. "I've activated our emergency beacon with an updated message. The space fleet will send ships to find us." Commander Vrax, now conscious but securely restrained, watched from the corner of the bridge where two students guarded him. His yellow eyes glowed with anger and disbelief. "How?" he finally asked, looking at the human children. "How did you defeat my crew? You're just children." Jiho walked over to him. "That was your mistake." 6 hours felt like a long time to wait. The students took turns watching the pirate prisoners while Captain Minho and Professor Yona worked to get the horizon back in proper working order. Taewoo helped fix the navigation system, which had been damaged when they passed through the spatial anomaly. Commander Vrax sat in silence in the holding cell, his yellow eyes following the human children as they moved around the ship. The other pirates seemed afraid, huddled in corners of their cells, whispering to each other about the strange abilities of human younglings. "They still think we used magic or something," Dohyun said to Jiho as they checked on the prisoners. "They can't believe we just outsmarted them." Jiho nodded. "Sometimes being underestimated is an advantage." On the bridge, Hyejin and Yoonji were helping Professor Yeona organize the evidence of the pirate attack. They had recovered the pirate communications and ship logs which showed that the Keltari had been raiding this sector for months. "The space fleet will want this information," Professor Yona explained. "It might help them find other pirate groups in this area." "Will the pirates be punished?" Yoonji asked quietly. Professor Yona nodded. "They committed serious crimes. They'll face justice according to Federation law." Outside the windows of the bridge, space stretched endlessly in all directions. It was hard to believe that just hours ago, they had been fighting for their lives. Now they were safe, waiting for rescue, the danger behind them. At the main console, Captain Minho suddenly called out, "I have visual contact. 3 space fleet ships approaching at high speed." Everyone rushed to the windows. In the distance, they could see 3 sleek silver ships growing larger as they approached. The Federation emblem, a blue Earth surrounded by stars, was clearly visible on their hulls. "They're hailing us," Captain Minho said, activating the communication system. A stern voice came through the speakers. "Education Vessel Horizon, this is Commander Park of the Federation Space Fleet vessel Intrepid. We received your distress signal. What is your status?" "This is Captain Minho of the Horizon. We are secure. We were attacked by Keltari pirates but have taken back control of our ship. All students and staff are safe. We have 10 pirate prisoners in custody, including their commander." There was a pause, then Commander Park's voice returned, sounding surprised. "You defeated the pirates, with just teachers and students aboard?" Captain Minho smiled at the students gathered on the bridge. "The students of Seoul Interplanetary Academy are quite resourceful, Commander. I'll explain everything when you arrive." Within 30 minutes, the 3 Space Fleet ships had surrounded the horizon. Armed Federation officers boarded to take custody of the pirates. The officers looked stunned when they learned the full story of how schoolchildren had outsmarted and captured the notorious Keltari pirates. Commander Park herself came aboard. She was a tall woman with short gray hair and a serious face. But when Captain Minho introduced the 5 students who had led the resistance, Jiho, Dohyun, Hyejin, Taewoo, and Yoonji, her serious expression changed to one of amazement. "I've been fighting pirates for 20 years, she said, looking at each student in turn. "And I've never heard of anyone capturing an entire pirate crew without weapons or combat training." She shook her head in disbelief. "The Federation Council will want to hear this story directly from you." The pirate prisoners were transferred to the Intrepid. As Commander Vrax was led past the students, he stopped and looked at Jiho. "You," he said in his deep, raspy voice. "The leader. Remember this. The galaxy will know what happened here. The Keltari will not forget. Jiho met his gaze calmly. Good. Then other pirates will think twice before attacking humans, especially human children. Vrax was led away, his proud shoulders now slumped in defeat. With the pirates gone, the mood on the horizon lightened considerably. The Space Fleet engineers helped repair the damage to the ship, and the navigation system was restored to full function. Commander Park invited all the students to tour her ship, the Intrepid. As they walked through the impressive military vessel, officers stopped to meet the children who had defeated the Keltari pirates. Many wanted to shake their hands or hear parts of the story firsthand. "You're all famous now," Commander Park told them. "Word has already spread through the fleet. By the time we reach Earth, everyone will know what happened on the horizon." That evening, the students gathered in the dining area of their ship for a special meal prepared by the fleet's chefs. Captain Minho stood to make a toast. "To the bravest, smartest students in the Federation," he said, raising his glass of juice. "You faced danger with courage and creativity. You worked together and used your knowledge in ways I never imagined possible. I am proud to be your captain." Everyone cheered. Professor Yona then stood up. "I've already sent messages to your parents," she said. "They know you're safe and—" She smiled. "They know what you did. They're very proud and a bit surprised." Do-Yun laughed. "Wait until they hear the whole story." The celebration continued late into the night. The students shared stories of their experiences during the pirate attack. Hyejin explained how she created smoke bombs from cleaning supplies. Taiwu demonstrated how he hacked into the ship's systems. Yunji showed everyone the hidden maintenance tunnels she had discovered. The next morning, it was time to decide what to do about their school trip. "We can return to Earth immediately," Captain Minho told the assembled students. "No one would blame you after what you've been through." To his surprise, Jiho stood up. "Captain, we still have our assignment to complete. We were going to Europa to learn about the mining operations there." He looked around at his fellow students. "I think we should continue our trip." One by one, the other students nodded in agreement. "After facing pirates, mining operations don't seem so scary," Hyejin said with a smile. Captain Minho looked at them with pride. "Then we continue to Europa. Commander Park has offered to escort us there with one of her ships, just to be safe." 2 weeks later, the Horizon returned to Earth. The students had completed their educational mission to Europa, learning about the mining operations as planned, but they returned with much more than academic knowledge. News of their adventure had spread throughout the Federation. When the ship landed at Seoul Spaceport, reporters and government officials were waiting. The students were celebrated as heroes. Their story was told and retold, growing with each telling until it seemed almost mythical. How 24 human children had defeated a crew of feared space pirates using only their wits and school supplies. 6 months later, Jiho received a message from Captain Minho. Reports from the Outer Rim indicated that Keltari pirates had begun avoiding all human ships, especially smaller vessels that might contain children. Other pirate groups were doing the same. The story had spread even beyond Federation space. On the 1-year anniversary of what became known as the Horizon Incident, the 5 student leaders were invited to speak at the Federation Council. Jiho stood at the podium, looking out at representatives from 100 worlds. "People often ask how we defeated the pirates," he said. "The answer is simple. Humans may not be the strongest or most advanced species in the galaxy, but we have something special. We adapt, we work together, and we never give up." He paused, then added, "The pirates saw us as weak because we were young, but on Earth we learn from an early age that intelligence and creativity are the most powerful weapons of all." Years later, when the students of the Horizon had grown up and gone their separate ways, Jiho into diplomacy, Do-Hyun into engineering, Hyejin into chemical research, Tae-woo into computer systems, and Yunji into space exploration, the story of their adventure continued to be told in schools throughout human space. And far beyond the boundaries of human territory, alien species shared their own version of the tale, a warning about the danger of underestimating humans, even the young ones. For if human children could defeat experienced pirates, What else might humans be capable of? In the rough spaceports of the Outer Rim, one phrase became common whenever someone suggested raiding a human vessel. Remember the horizon. Few needed to ask what it meant. Everyone knew the story of the day space pirates regretted attacking a ship full of human kids. The end.